So we've got today's date, we've popped it up. We're going to just recall some basics. When we are adding or subtracting fractions, what's the big old rule that has to go on? Got to do the bottom, got to, yeah, the main one is the denominators have to be the same, okay? So back in the day, pretty simple, 2/5 plus 1/5, well, we can just now go, well, that has to be 3/5. Now, you don't have to write this bit down. If you want to, yes, you can. Sure. What a lovely question. Or writing. So if I do, I'll stop, listen, and then I'll give you time to write down what you haven't got. So now, when we do this one, you can see clearly they are different denominators. And I'm doing this, I was going to do it with numbers, but people interrupted me. So now we're going to, should I get rid of the A's? I'll just do one to the side. The idea was I wanted to do it without the algebra just to show you basics. So 2/7, don't copy this, 2/7 plus, let's go 3/2. They are clearly not the same denominator, so what would we do? We have to ask ourselves, what's the number that 7 and 2 both go into? And we want the smallest number possible. It has to be 14, and check. Does 7 go into 14? Yes, 2 times. Does 2 go into 14? 7 times. So when we're doing this, you are now asking yourself those questions. To get 7 to be 14, you times by 2. What you do to the bottom, you do to the top. Do you remember this? Yeah. This was like primary school. 2 times 7, because that gives you 14. That means you have to do what you do to the bottom, do to the top. And so we end up with 25/14. All done here, nothing to look at. Brandon, we're watching. When it comes to algebraic fractions, so we've got a pronumeral in it, wouldn't it be awful if the rules changed? Lucky for us, maths is so wonderful. The rules stay the same. We're going to do exactly the same thing. So we ask ourselves, what is a number that 2 and 3, nearly said it, a number that 2 and 3 both go into? 6, that's right. So what did we times 2 by to get to 6? 3. Yep. And what did we times 3 by to get to 2? 6. So you can do what we did up there, and we do the little times times. I do this thing called cross multiplying. Huzzah. So times by 3, times by 3. Do you like to write that? Do you like to write the times 3 times 3? So if you do, go for it. I will probably stop doing it soon because it just hurts me. So 3 times 2 gives you 6. 3 times A gives you 3A. What's in the middle? A plus. 3 times 2 gives you 6. 2 times A is 2A. And now we've got like terms on the top. What's 3A plus 2A? All over 6. Oh, that's not a good one. Let's change that slightly. There we go. Okay, now we're looking at the next one. You can make this less work, or you could make it more work. Is there anything that you notice about 5 and 10? Pardon? 10 is divisible by 5. So when we're saying I want the smallest number that both of these go into, so 6 was the smallest number that 2 and 3 go into, what's the smallest number that 5 and 10 both go into? No, not 5. They both go into 10. Right? So you want the smallest number possible. So what did we times 5 by to get to 10? 2. What you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So that becomes 6p. What did I times 10 by to get to 10? Technically 1, but yeah, I would take, I know what you mean when you say nothing. And so that's now just minus 7p. So minus p all over 10. Can't cancel that anymore, we're done. Okay? So if we're checking day map, Diesel, we're checking day map, we're just doing MNOP. If you're not checking day map, then you're doing too much work. So here we go. We first inspect and we notice same denominator, so we're very happy. Not too much work for us. So we're going to write down that denominator and we can now add the numerator. 5 plus 7? 12, right? Doing this without a calculator. You do not move on to the next one until you've really looked at this nice and properly. What do we notice about the 12 and the 3? That we can cancel, that's right. What's the biggest number that goes into 3 and 12? Not correct. I know what you've actually said the answer. So the biggest number that goes into 3 and 12 is 3. 3 goes into 12 4 times, and 3 goes into 3 once, so it's just 4 over n. You must always simplify, yes, always. That's why I've just asked us to do MNOP, just to remind you. Okay? N, another nice one, same denominator, 2x. Look at the numerator. We've got 3, take 1, 2. So we check. Clearly, we can cancel these out. So the 2's cancel because 2 goes into 2 once. So what am I left with? Just x? What do you want me to write? If I just write x, no go. It's actually, so 2 goes into 2 once, and once it's 1 over x. The numerator, the denominator is x. So just be careful with that one. I reckon a lot of people just write x, but it's 1 over. You carry on if you want, or listen, it's up to you. All right. May I go? Just I don't like to chat while you're doing your thing. So, notice this is now not the same denominator, so it's the same routine that we go through. What's a number that 3 and 5 both go into? 15. The shortcut is you just times across, so 3 times 5, bang, you get 15. You just have to be careful. We don't want to do that all the time, because back here, if we went 5 times 10, we would have got 50, and then we're using massive numbers. We wouldn't be wrong. We'd end up with the same answer, but we'd have to do more work. So always try and make sure it's the lowest common denominator. Okay, and now I cross multiply, because you had to times 3 by 5 to get to 15. So now do the same to the top. So that's 5x. What did I times 5 by to get to 15? 3. So I've got to do the same to the top. So I just saw some of you out there. I'm going to write it in because you asked me to and I forgot. Over 5. I just find that makes my working really cluttered. But if you like to have do it. Okay, we add 5x plus 3x is 8x, all over 15. We do a quick check. What's the biggest number that goes into 8 and 15? Nothing, that's 1. That's it, we leave it. No cancelling required here. Yeah? Do you remember any of this from last year? That's okay. But is it making sense? All right, so onward. Who would like to tell us what's the lowest common denominator? Sophs, yeah, 12. Well done. The lowest number that 3 and 4 both go into is 12, and again in this case 3 times 4 gave us that answer.